First Contact Fiasco. The day Earth made first contact with an advanced alien civilization was supposed to be humanity's crowning achievement. Instead, it nearly became the day that doomed our species to extinction. Captain Elena Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the ESS Horizon, humanity's first faster-than-light capable ship. After years of secret development, they had finally ventured beyond the solar system, ready to announce humanity's presence to the cosmos. What they didn't expect was to stumble upon an entire galactic community that had been watching them all along. "Captain, we're being hailed," Lieutenant Park announced, his voice trembling with a mixture of excitement and fear. Elena took a deep breath, straightening her uniform. "On screen," she ordered, her calm demeanor masking the rapid beating of her heart. The view screen flickered to life, revealing a being that defied easy description. It had iridescent scales, multiple eye stalks, and appendages that seemed to shift and morph as they moved. When it spoke, its words were translated by the ship's advanced AI. "Greetings, humans of Earth. I am High Counselor Zixnath of the Galactic Confederation. We've been expecting you." Elena blinked in surprise. "You have?" Zixnath's eye stalks wobbled in what might have been amusement. "Indeed. Your world has been under observation for centuries. We've been waiting for you to develop FTL capabilities before making formal contact. Welcome to the galactic community." The next few hours were a whirlwind of introductions and explanations. The Galactic Confederation, it turned out, was an alliance of over 1,000 alien species, united in peace and scientific advancement. They had strict protocols for integrating new species, and humanity was about to begin that process. Elena and her crew were invited aboard the massive Confederation flagship for diplomatic talks. As they stepped into the cavernous meeting hall, Elena couldn't help but feel a sense of awe. Beings of all shapes and sizes milled about, some floating, others slithering, a few even phasing in and out of visible existence. "This way, please," a small spherical robot chirped, leading them to a large round table. As the human delegation took their seats, Elena noticed the concerned looks exchanged between various alien representatives. She was about to ask what was wrong when High Counselor Zixnath spoke up. "Before we begin, we must address a matter of grave concern," Zixnath said, its voice somber. "It has come to our attention that your homeworld, Earth, is classified as a Deathworld." Murmurs rippled through the assembled aliens. Elena frowned, confused. "I'm sorry, a what?" Another alien, this one resembling a sentient cloud of gas, drifted forward. "A Deathworld, Captain Rodriguez. A planet so inherently hostile to life that the very fact your species survived, let alone thrived, is disturbing to many of us." Elena exchanged bewildered looks with her crew. Earth, a Deathworld. Sure, it had its dangers, but it was the cradle of human civilization, teeming with life. "I don't understand," Elena said carefully. "Earth is abundant with life. We have diverse ecosystems, from lush rainforests to vast oceans." The gaseous alien shimmered in what might have been agitation. "You misunderstand. The very things you describe are what make Earth so terrifying. Your oceans, vast pools of corrosive liquid that would dissolve most sentient life forms in the galaxy. Your atmosphere, a toxic mix of gases that would asphyxiate many species. And let's not even begin on the extreme temperature variations, the constant tectonic activity, or the lethal levels of background radiation." Elena's mind reeled. Everything they took for granted on Earth was apparently a death sentence to most of the galaxy's inhabitants. "And yet," Zixnath continued, "your species not only survived, but became the apex predators of your world. You've developed technologies, cultures, and physical abilities that are, frankly, terrifying to many of our members." The implications hit Elena like a ton of bricks. They weren't being welcomed as equals. They were being regarded as potential monsters. "We assure you," Elena began, trying to salvage the situation, "humans are peaceful. We come seeking friendship and knowledge. A reptilian alien with crystalline skin leaned forward. Peace. Your history is rife with conflict. You've waged wars over resources, beliefs, even abstract concepts. How can we trust a species that fights itself so readily? Elena felt a bead of sweat trickle down her neck. This was going badly fast. She glanced at her science officer, Dr. Amit Patel, hoping he might have some insight to offer. Dr. Patel cleared his throat. If I may, esteemed counselors, it's true that human history has its dark chapters, but it's also filled with incredible acts of compassion, creativity, and cooperation. Our conflicts have driven us to innovate, to solve problems, to become better. And now, united as one planet, we seek to join a larger community, to learn and grow alongside you all. His words seemed to calm some of the alien representatives, but others still looked skeptical. Zixnath's eye stalks swiveled thoughtfully. A noble sentiment, Dr. Patel. But intentions are one thing. Actions are another. We need assurances that humanity won't pose a threat to the delicate balance of our confederation. Elena's mind raced. They needed a way to prove humanity's worth, to show they weren't the monsters these aliens feared. An idea began to form, crazy and risky, but potentially their only chance. High Counselor, Elena said, standing up, I propose a challenge. The room fell silent, all attention focused on the human captain. You fear our strength, our resilience, our adaptability. But these traits that make us formidable can also make us invaluable allies. Let us prove ourselves. Give us your most difficult, dangerous task, something no other species has been able to accomplish. If we succeed, it will demonstrate that our Deathworld traits can be a boon to the Confederation, not a threat. Murmurs of surprise and interest rippled through the alien delegates. Zixnath's eye stalks quivered with intrigue. An interesting proposal, Captain Rodriguez. But what if you fail? Elena squared her shoulders. Then we will voluntarily isolate ourselves in our solar system, under your supervision, until we've proven ourselves worthy of joining the galactic community. The stakes were enormous. The fate of humanity's place in the cosmos hung in the balance. But Elena knew they had to take this risk. It was their only chance to overcome the fear their very existence had instilled in these advanced beings. Zixnath conferred quietly with the other council members for what felt like an eternity. Finally, it turned back to Elena. Very well, Captain. We accept your proposal. We have a task that has confounded our best minds for centuries. A rescue mission of the utmost importance and danger. Elena nodded, her heart pounding, but her voice steady. We're listening. Zixnath activated a holographic display in the center of the table. It showed a massive space station, partially phased out of normal spacetime, orbiting a volatile pulsar. This is Outpost Omega, one of our most advanced research facilities. 3 cycles ago, it was struck by a stellar flare that caused a catastrophic malfunction in its phase shift drives. The station is now caught between dimensions, with over 10,000 scientists and their families trapped inside. All our attempts to rescue them have failed. The radiation from the pulsar fries our systems, and the partial phasing makes it impossible to safely dock or transport anyone out. Elena studied the hologram intently, her mind already racing with potential solutions. And you want us to rescue them? Yes, Zixnath confirmed. But understand this, Captain Rodriguez. The environment around that pulsar is even more lethal than your homeworld. The radiation levels alone would kill most species in minutes. The gravitational forces could tear your ship apart. And if you fail to properly navigate the phase shift anomalies, you could be lost between dimensions forever. The human crew exchanged glances. The challenge was monumental, possibly suicidal. But it was also a chance to save thousands of lives and prove humanity's worth to the galaxy. Elena took a deep breath and faced Zixnath. High Counselor, on behalf of humanity, we accept this challenge. A ripple of astonishment passed through the alien delegates. Zixnath's eye stalks quivered with what might have been respect. Very well, Captain Rodriguez. You have one standard cycle to prepare. We will provide you with all the data we have on Outpost Omega and the surrounding space. May your gods be with you. For the sake of those trapped souls, and for the future of your species in this galaxy. As Elena and her crew were escorted back to their ship, the weight of their task settled upon them. They had come seeking peaceful first contact, and instead found themselves volunteering for a suicide mission to save thousands of aliens and secure humanity's place among the stars. Dr. Paddle fell into step beside Elena. Captain, the odds of surviving this mission, let alone succeeding, are, well, I'm not sure I can even calculate them. Elena managed a grim smile. Then it's a good thing we humans have a long history of beating the odds, Doctor. Gather the crew. We have work to do. As the ESS Horizon disengaged from the Confederation flagship, Elena gazed out at the star-studded void. Somewhere out there was a pulsar, a trapped space station, and humanity's future. They had one chance to prove that the very traits that terrify the galaxy could be its salvation. Helm, Elena ordered, her voice firm with resolve. Set a course for Outpost Omega. It's time to show the galaxy what Deathworlders can do. The Horizon's engines flared to life, propelling the ship and its crew towards their date with destiny. The first contact might have been a fiasco, but the real test was just beginning. Humanity's trial by fire awaited, and failure was not an option. The Galactic Olympics. The success of the Outpost Omega rescue mission had changed everything. Humanity, once feared and mistrusted, was now cautiously respected throughout the Galactic Confederation. The daring rescue had showcased human ingenuity, resilience, and compassion in equal measure. But respect, as Earth's ambassadors were learning, did not equate to full acceptance. 2 years after first contact, humanity found itself with a unique opportunity to further prove its worth. The Galactic Olympics. Ambassador Sarah Chen stood before the United Earth Council, her holographic form flickering slightly as she delivered her report from the Confederation capital world. The Galactic Olympics, she explained, are held every 50 years. They're not just a sporting event, but a celebration of unity and a showcase of each species' unique abilities. Our invitation to participate is both an honor and a test. Council President Adebayo leaned forward, his brow furrowed. A test. How so? Sarah's hologram smiled wryly. Think of it as a more civilized version of our initial challenge. Many in the Confederation are still wary of our Deathworld capabilities. This is our chance to demonstrate that we can compete fairly with honor alongside species from across the galaxy. The council chamber buzzed with excited murmurs. President Adebayo raised a hand for silence. And what events will we be competing in? Sarah's expression turned serious. That's the catch, Mr. President. We don't know. Each Olympics features new events designed to test a wide range of physical and mental abilities. We'll be going in blind, just like everyone else. A tense silence fell over the room. Finally, President Adebayo spoke. Very well, Ambassador Chen. Assemble your team. Earth will answer this challenge. The Galactic Olympics opening ceremony was a spectacle beyond human imagination. The stadium, if it could be called that, was a massive zero-gravity sphere in orbit around a gas giant. Holographic displays larger than cities showcased the thousands of competing species. Sarah Chen led the small human delegation, a mix of athletes, scientists, and diplomats chosen to represent Earth. As they entered the sphere, propelling themselves in the zero-G environment, Sarah couldn't help but feel a mix of awe and trepidation. Look at them all, whispered Dr. Yuki Tanaka, a quantum physicist who had been key in the Outpost Omega rescue. So many different forms of life. Indeed, the variety was staggering. There were beings of pure energy, crystalline entities that refracted light in mesmerizing patterns, and creatures that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions at once. A familiar voice caught Sarah's attention. Ah, the humans arrive. Welcome, friends. It was Zixnath, the High Counselor who had first greeted humanity 2 years ago. Its eye stalks wobbled in what Sarah had learned was a gesture of warm greeting. "High Counselor." Sarah bowed slightly. "We're honored to be here." Zixnath's appendages rippled. "The honor is ours. Your species has already proven its worth in crisis. Now let us see how you fare in friendly competition." As if on cue, a booming voice echoed through the sphere, translated simultaneously into thousands of languages. "Let the 10,000th Galactic Olympics begin. Our first event, Quantum Entanglement Relay." Sarah exchanged puzzled glances with her team. Dr. Tanaka's eyes lit up. Fascinating. They turned a quantum physics principle into a sport. The rules, it turned out, were complex. Teams had to entangle particles across vast distances, then manipulate them in specific patterns. Speed, accuracy, and the ability to maintain entanglement under varying gravitational conditions all factored into the scoring. To everyone's surprise, the human team performed admirably. Dr. Tanaka's expertise in quantum mechanics, combined with the quick thinking of their athletes, secured them a respectable 5th place out of over 1,000 competitors. "Not bad for our first event." Sarah grinned, patting Dr. Tanaka on the back. The event took place on a massive orbital structure that generated varying levels of gravity. Competitors had to navigate a complex obstacle course, while gravity shifted unpredictably from 0 g to crushingly high levels. Many species excelled in specific gravity ranges but struggled in others. The gaseous beings were untouchable in low gravity but became nearly immobile as it increased. Crystal entities shattered under high G conditions. But humans, to the astonishment of many, demonstrated remarkable adaptability. Their Deathworld origins had prepared them for a wide range of gravitational conditions. Marine biologist turned astronaut, Commander Layla Okafor, led the charge, her fluid movements and quick thinking carrying her through the course. As Layla crossed the finish line, securing a second-place finish, the alien crowd erupted in a cacophony of cheers, whistles, and other, less identifiable sounds of approval. Zixnath appeared at Sarah's side, its eye stalks quivering with excitement. "Remarkable. Your species continues to surprise us, Ambassador Chen." Sarah beamed with pride, but she could see the calculating look in Zixnath's eyes. The humans were no longer underdogs. They were contenders. The events that followed tested the limits of human ability. There was psychic sculpture, where competitors had to manipulate matter with their minds. The humans came in last, much to no one's surprise. But they excelled in extreme environment survival, an event that simulated harsh planetary conditions. Perhaps the most surprising human victory came in an event called empathic resonance. Competitors had to navigate a maze while experiencing the emotions of every being they encountered. Many species found the sensory overload overwhelming, but humans, with their complex emotional range, adapted quickly. Dr. Elena Rossi, a renowned psychologist, emerged from the maze with tears streaming down her face and a smile that could outshine suns. She had not only completed the course but had set a new Olympic record. As the games progressed, the human team found themselves the subject of intense curiosity. Alien competitors peppered them with questions about Earth, human physiology, and culture. "Is it true that you voluntarily ingest neurotoxins for pleasure?" a crystalline being asked during a break between events. Sarah chuckled. "If you're referring to alcohol, then yes, some humans do, though I wouldn't recommend it before competing." The crystal being's facets shimmered with what might have been amusement or horror. It was hard to tell. But not all the attention was positive. As humans continued to perform well in various events, whispers of concern began to circulate among some delegations. "They're too adaptable." Sarah overheard one alien diplomat muttering to another. "How can we trust a species that can thrive in almost any condition?" Sarah frowned. They were walking a fine line between impressing the Galactic Confederation and frightening them. The last thing Earth needed was to be seen as a potential threat again. The final event of the Olympics was announced. The Cosmic Collaboration Challenge. Unlike the other events, this one required species to work together in mixed teams. The goal was to construct a miniature, functioning ecosystem that could sustain life from multiple worlds. Sarah felt a tap on her shoulder. It was Zixnath. Ambassador Chen, a word. They moved to a quiet corner of the preparation area. Zixnath's eye stalks drooped slightly, a sign of seriousness. Your species has performed remarkably well in these games, it began. Perhaps too well. Sarah's heart sank. High Counselor, we. Zixnath raised an appendage to silence her. I understand. You came to prove yourselves, and you have. But now you must prove something else. In this final event, you must show that humans can be not just strong competitors, but valuable collaborators. The Confederation values unity above all. Show us that Deathworlders can create, not just conquer. Sarah nodded solemnly. I understand, High Counselor. We won't let you down. As Sarah briefed her team on the importance of this final event, she could see the determination in their eyes. They had come to the Galactic Olympics to prove human worth, but now they had a chance to prove human heart. The Cosmic Collaboration Challenge was unlike anything the humans had experienced. Working alongside beings with wildly different biologies and thought processes was both frustrating and exhilarating. Dr. Tanaka found himself explaining basic chemistry to a being made of pure energy, while Commander Okafor learned about gravity manipulation from a species that could alter their own mass at will. Dr. Rossi's empathy skills proved invaluable in mediating disputes between vastly different life forms. Hours passed in a blur of activity. Miniature environments took shape, bubbles of atmosphere, tiny oceans, microscopic mountain ranges. Plants from a dozen worlds grew side by side, their biologies carefully balanced. As the final seconds ticked down, Sarah watched with bated breath. Their ecosystem wasn't the most elaborate or the most efficient, but as alien judges moved from project to project, she noticed something unique about the human team's creation. While other groups had created beautiful but sterile environments, the human team's ecosystem was alive with activity. Tiny creatures scurried about, plants swayed in artificial breezes, and a delicate balance of competition and cooperation played out in miniature. When the results were announced, the human team hadn't won. They'd come in third. But as the scores were explained, Sarah realized they had achieved something far more important. The human-led team, the chief judge announced, demonstrated an unprecedented level of cross-species collaboration. Their ecosystem showcases not just sustainability, but vibrant interaction between vastly different life forms. This embodies the true spirit of the Cosmic Collaboration Challenge. As the ceremony concluded, Zixnath approached Sarah once more. Its eye stalks were raised high, a sign of respect. Congratulations, Ambassador Chen. Your species has proven itself not just capable, but essential. The Confederation will be discussing full membership for Earth in our next assembly. Sarah felt a wave of relief and pride wash over her. Thank you, High Counselor. We're honored. Zixnath's appendages rippled in amusement. Don't thank me yet. Full membership comes with its own challenges. The galaxy is vast and full of wonders and dangers. We may soon need your Deathworlder ingenuity more than you know. As Sarah rejoined her celebrating team, she couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and trepidation. Humanity had proven itself in the Galactic Olympics, but she suspected their greatest challenges and adventures were yet to come. The stars beckoned, and Earth was ready to answer the call. The Deathworld Defender. Earth's full membership in the Galactic Confederation brought with it a host of new opportunities and challenges. Humanity's adaptability and resilience, once feared, were now sought after. Earth became a hub for interstellar cultural exchange, scientific collaboration, and diplomatic missions. But with greater integration came greater risks. Earth was no longer an isolated backwater, but a recognized player on the galactic stage. And not every species in the vast cosmos was as welcoming as the Confederation. It started with whispers, rumors of an ancient threat stirring at the edges of known space. The Vorax, a name spoken in hushed tones, even among the most battle-hardened species of the Confederation. Legends painted them as planet-eaters, a hive-mind species that consumed entire worlds to fuel their endless expansion. For centuries, they had been considered extinct, a bogeyman story to frighten younglings. But now, probe data and garbled distress signals painted a terrifying picture. The Vorax were real, and they were coming. Lieutenant Commander Jack Harper stood at attention in the Confederation War Council chamber, trying not to fidget under the gaze of a dozen alien species. 3 years ago, he had been a simple Marine. Now, he represented humanity in the most critical military planning session in galactic history. High Counselor Zixnath's voice echoed through the chamber. The situation is grave. Our long-range sensors have detected a Vorax fleet approaching the Arcturus sector. If unchecked, they will devour every inhabited world in their path. A holographic map flickered to life, showing the Vorax fleet's trajectory. Jack's heart sank as he recognized one of the systems in their path. Earth, he breathed. Zixnath's eye stalks drooped in sympathy. Indeed, Commander Harper, your homeworld lies directly in the invasion route. But Earth is not alone. The Confederation stands ready to defend all its members. A crystalline being, Admiral Crix of the Confederation fleet, stepped forward. Our combined forces are formidable, but the Vorax technology is unlike anything we've encountered. Traditional weapons seem to have little effect. What about evacuation? Asked a gaseous entity, its form shimmering with anxiety. Admiral Crix's crystalline form darkened. Impossible on such a scale. We must make our stand here. Jack cleared his throat, drawing all eyes to him. If I may, Counsel, what do we know about the Vorax biology? Their weaknesses. A holographic image of a Vorax appeared. It was a nightmarish sight. A writhing mass of tentacles and chitinous armor, with multiple sensor organs and weapon-like appendages. Zixnath explained, the Vorax are a silicon-based life form, highly resistant to energy weapons and extreme conditions. They communicate via a complex electromagnetic field, which also serves as a sort of distributed nervous system for their entire species. Jack's mind raced, years of Deathworld survival instincts kicking in. So they're like a giant, galaxy-spanning ant colony. The alien delegates exchanged confused glances, unfamiliar with Earth insects. Jack pressed on. What I mean is, do they have a central intelligence, a queen or leader? Admiral Crix's crystalline form sparkled with interest. Our data suggests a hierarchical structure, yes, but reaching any central intelligence would be suicide. The Vorax surround their leadership cased with impenetrable defenses. A plan began to form in Jack's mind. It was insane, probably suicidal, but it might just work. What if we didn't need to reach them physically? What if we could disrupt their electromagnetic communication somehow? The chamber erupted in a cacophony of alien voices, some dismissive, others intrigued. Zixnath raised its appendages for silence. Explain your thinking, Commander Harper. Jack took a deep breath. On Earth, we have a natural phenomenon called electromagnetic pulses. They can disrupt electronic systems across vast areas. If we could generate an EMP powerful enough, we might be able to disrupt the Vorax communication network, throw their entire fleet into chaos. Admiral Crix's form pulsed with excitement. Fascinating. But generating an EMP of that magnitude, it would require an energy source as powerful as a small star. Not necessarily, Jack countered. What if we use the Vorax's own technology against them? Their ships must have incredible power sources. If we could infiltrate one and overload it. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. It was Zixnath who finally spoke. What you're suggesting, Commander Harper, is nothing short of a suicide mission. Jack nodded grimly. Yes, but it might be our only chance. A small team, minimal technology to avoid detection. We go in, overload their systems, and... He paused, Hope we're far enough away when it blows. The War Council debated furiously. The plan was risky, with a high probability of failure. But as the holographic display updated, showing the Vorax fleet's inexorable approach, they realized they were out of options. "Very well," Zixnath declared. "The Council approves this mission. But who would undertake such a perilous task?" Jack straightened his back. "I volunteer, sir." A ripple of surprise passed through the alien delegates. Zixnath's eye stalks quivered with a mixture of admiration and concern. "Commander Harper, you understand the risks. The chances of survival are minimal." Jack managed a wry smile. "With all due respect, High Counselor, minimal chances are better than what we've got now. Besides, you wanted to see what Deathworlders could do. Let me show you." In the end, a team was assembled. Jack would lead, accompanied by 2 other humans, Dr. Isabel Chen, a brilliant xenobiologist, and tech surgeon Maria Ramirez, an electronics warfare specialist. Rounding out the team was Xthal, a Zorlak shapeshifter whose adaptive biology might prove crucial for infiltration. As they prepared for the mission, Jack found himself in the ship's observation deck, staring out at the star-studded void. Soon, those stars would be filled with the Vorax fleet. He felt a presence beside him and turned to see Zixnath. The alien's normally vibrant scales seemed muted, a sign of deep concern. "Second thoughts, Commander Harper?" Zixnath asked softly. Jack shook his head. "No, sir. Just taking it all in. You know, when I was a kid, I dreamed of exploring the stars. Never imagined I'd be defending them." Zixnath's appendages rippled in what Jack had learned was a gesture of empathy. "Your species continues to astound us, Jack. When we first encountered you, many feared your potential for violence, your ability to thrive in conditions that would kill most beings. But now we see that those very traits might save us all." Jack turned to face the High Counselor. "We're not so different, you know. Humans, I mean. From the rest of the Confederation. We all want to survive, to protect our homes, our families. We're just a bit more stubborn about it." Zixnath made a sound that might have been a chuckle. "Stubborn indeed. It is that stubbornness, that refusal to accept defeat, that we need now more than ever." It placed an appendage on Jack's shoulder. "May your Deathworld strength guide you, Commander. The hopes of the galaxy go with you." As Zixnath left, Jack turned back to the viewport. In a few hours, they would launch their desperate mission. Somewhere out there, the Vorax were coming, unaware that a handful of beings from a backwater Deathworld were about to challenge their dominion. Jack clenched his fist. Humanity had survived ice ages, plagues, and their own destructive tendencies. They had clawed their way from cave-dwelling primates to starfarers. Now they would show the galaxy what Deathworlders could really do. The fate of Earth, of the entire Confederation, rested on their shoulders. But as Jack looked out at the stars, he felt not fear, but a fierce determination. The Vorax were about to learn a harsh lesson. Never underestimate a species that evolved on a world that tried to kill them every day. With a final glance at the stars, Jack turned and strode towards the hangar bay. It was time to defend not just Earth, but every world that called the galaxy home. The mission to save the galaxy had begun, and at its heart was a Deathworlder, ready to show the cosmos what humanity was truly capable of. The Engineer's Gambit. The aftermath of the Vorax invasion left the Galactic Confederation reeling. While Commander Jack Harper's mission had been successful, halting the Vorax advance and saving countless worlds, it had come at a terrible cost. Entire star systems lay in ruins, millions of lives lost, and the scars of battle stretched across the cosmos. In the wake of this devastation, the Confederation turned its focus to rebuilding. And once again, humanity found itself at the center of galactic attention. Dr. Aisha Patel stood before the holographic display in her lab aboard the Confederation's premier research station, Nexus 9. Her dark eyes scanned the schematics of the station's fusion reactor. searching for a solution to a problem that threatened not just Nexus 9, but potentially the entire rebuilding effort. Dr. Patel, the voice of her AI assistant, ARIA, broke her concentration. The Confederation Science Council is requesting an update on the reactor situation. Aisha sighed, running a hand through her short, graying hair. Tell them I'll be there in 5 minutes, Aria. As she made her way to the conference room, Aisha couldn't help but reflect on the strange path that had led her here. 5 years ago, she had been a fusion researcher on Earth, working on sustainable energy solutions. Now, she was the lead engineer on a space station that served as the linchpin for the Confederation's reconstruction efforts. The conference room was a cacophony of alien voices and translators when Aisha entered. Beings of all shapes and sizes fell silent as she took her place at the head of the table. Dr. Patel, began Counselor Zixnath, its eye stalks quivering with concern. Please, tell us you have good news. Aisha took a deep breath. I'm afraid the situation remains critical, Counselor. The damage to Nexus 9's primary fusion reactor from the recent dark matter storm has cascaded. She paused, noting the confused looks on some alien faces, and simplified, has caused widespread system failures. We're operating on emergency power, but that won't last more than a few days. A crystalline being that Aisha recognized as the Tholian representative sparkled agitatedly. But surely you can simply restart the reactor. Aisha shook her head. It's not that simple. The dark matter particles have altered the reactor's containment field on a quantum level. If we try to initiate fusion now, we risk a catastrophic overload. The room erupted in a flurry of concerned exclamations. Nexus 9 wasn't just any research station. It housed the most advanced laboratories in the Confederation, crucial to the post-Vorax reconstruction efforts. Its loss would set back the rebuilding of devastated worlds by decades. What are our options? Zixnath asked, its voice cutting through the chaos. Aisha squared her shoulders. We have 2 choices. 1. We evacuate the station and let it drift until we can tow it to a shipyard for complete reactor replacement. That would take months, if not years. Unacceptable, growled a furry Arcturian. Too many worlds are depending on the research being conducted here. And the second option, Zixnath prompted. Aisha took a deep breath. We attempt an on-site reactor reset and recalibration. It's never been done at this scale before. The process would be extremely dangerous. How dangerous? The question came from a hovering, jellyfish-like being. Worst-case scenario. We trigger a fusion reaction we can't control. Nexus 9 becomes a short-lived star, taking half this sector with it. A heavy silence fell over the room. It was Zixnath who broke it. And what do you recommend, Dr. Patel? Aisha stood straighter. We try the reset. I have a plan, but it's risky. It will require someone to manually adjust the quantum containment field from inside the reactor chamber itself. The silence that followed was deafening. Enter an active fusion reactor. It was tantamount to suicide. No, Zixnath said firmly. We cannot ask anyone to sacrifice themselves like that. You don't have to ask, Aisha replied, her voice steady. I'm volunteering. The room erupted once more, but Aisha stood firm. I'm the most qualified person to make the necessary adjustments, and as a human, I have a better chance of surviving the radiation than most species here. Better, perhaps, Zixnath countered, but far from guaranteed. The risk is acceptable, Aisha cut in. Compared to the billions of lives that depend on this station, it's more than acceptable. As the council debated, Aisha's mind was already racing, formulating her plan. She'd need to modify an environmental suit to withstand the intense conditions inside the reactor. The quantum adjustments would require precision beyond what her radiation-addled hands could manage. She'd need Aria, she subvocalized to her AI assistant, begin modifications on environmental suit alpha. And I need you to prep for direct neural interface. Direct neural interface is highly experimental and potentially dangerous, Dr. Patel, Aria's voice echoed in her mind. So is walking into a fusion reactor, Aisha thought back. Sometimes you have to take risks to save lives. Hours later, Aisha stood before the massive doors of the reactor chamber, encased in a suit that looked more like a small mech. The council had eventually, reluctantly, approved her plan. Final systems check. Aria's voice came through the suit's speakers. Reactor containment at 12% and falling, reported the station's chief of operations. You'll have a 10-minute window before radiation levels become lethal, Dr. Patel. Aisha nodded, her mouth dry. Understood. Begin reactor purge and open the chamber. As the massive doors slowly parted, Aisha felt a hand on her shoulder. She turned to see Zixnath, its eye stalks drooping with concern. Your species never ceases to amaze us, Dr. Patel, it said softly. First you survive a death world, then you save us from the Vorax, and now you walk into the heart of a star to save us once more. Aisha managed to smile. Just doing my job, counselor. Somebody's got to keep the lights on. With that, she stepped into the chamber. The doors sealed behind her with a resounding thud. The reactor core loomed before her, a swirling maelstrom of barely contained plasma. Even through the suit's heavy shielding, Aisha could feel the immense heat and radiation. Beginning neural interface, Aria announced. Aisha felt a tingling at the base of her skull as the AI linked with her mind. Suddenly, she could see the quantum fluctuations in the containment field, a dance of probability and energy beyond normal human perception. Incredible, she breathed. Focus, Dr. Patel, Aria reminded her. Radiation levels rising. 8 minutes remaining. Aisha moved to the main control panel, her augmented senses guiding her hands. She began the delicate process of resetting the quantum field, each adjustment sending ripples through the very fabric of space-time. Minutes ticked by, each one bringing her closer to lethal radiation exposure. Sweat poured down her face, the suit's cooling systems struggling to keep up. 2 minutes remaining, Dr. Patel. Containment field stabilizing, but still critical. Aisha gritted her teeth. She was close, so close. Just a few more adjustments. Warning alarms blared as radiation levels spiked. Dr. Patel, you must evacuate now. Aria's voice was urgent. Not yet, Aisha growled. We're almost there. Her vision swam, the edges darkening as radiation began to overwhelm her suit's shielding. But through the neural interface, she could see it, the quantum field snapping back into alignment. With a final, Herculean effort, Aisha input the last command sequence. The reactor core pulsed once, twice, and then settled into a steady, controlled glow. Containment field stable, Aria announced. Reactor output normalizing. You've done it, Dr. Patel. Aisha smiled weakly, her legs buckling beneath her. As consciousness faded, she heard the chamber doors opening, felt hands lifting her. Get her to medical, now. Zixnath's voice seemed to come from far away. As darkness claimed her, Aisha's last thought was of Earth, of the sun setting over the Mumbai skyline. She had touched the heart of a star, and in doing so, ensured that countless other worlds would see their suns rise again. In the days that followed, as Aisha recovered in Nexus 9's medical bay, news of her feat spread across the Confederation. Once again, a human from Earth, the Deathworld, had done the impossible to save countless lives. Humanity's reputation evolved once more. No longer were they seen as merely strong or resilient. Now, they were known as the beings who would walk into the heart of a star to keep hope alive. As reconstruction efforts continued across the galaxy, powered by the research from Nexus 9, the name Aisha Patel became synonymous with the indomitable spirit of humanity, a spirit forged in the crucible of a death world, tempered by adversity, and now shining as a beacon of hope for all species in the vast, star-studded expanse of the Galactic Confederation. Unity in adversity. The Galactic Confederation had known peace for nearly a decade since the Vorax invasion. Humanity, once feared for their Deathworld origins, had become integral members of the interstellar community. Their adaptability, resilience, and ingenuity had saved countless lives and rebuilt shattered worlds. But the universe, it seemed, was not done testing the resolve of its sentient inhabitants. On a nondescript Tuesday, by Earth reckoning, alarms blared across every corner of Confederation space. From the crystalline spires of Tholian Prime to the gas giant colonies of the Arcturians, the same terrifying message echoed. Alert! Cosmic anomaly detected. Threat level: Omega. In the newly constructed Confederation Central Command on Earth's moon, a diverse group of the galaxy's finest minds gathered. Humans stood shoulder to shoulder, or appendage to appendage, with beings from 1,000 worlds, all united by a common purpose: survival. Admiral Elena Rodriguez, Earth's representative on the Confederation High Council, strode into the command center. Her weathered face, bearing the scars of both the Vorax War and countless diplomatic battles, was grim. "Report," she barked, her voice cutting through the chaos. A holographic display flickered to life, showing the swirling mass of nothing, a void that seemed to devour light itself, expanding at an alarming rate. Dr. Xixtal, a Zorlak physicist whose amorphous body rippled with agitation, floated forward. "It appears to be a quantum singularity, Admiral. But unlike anything we've ever encountered, it's consuming space-time itself." Elena's eyes narrowed. Prognosis. The Zorlak's form darkened, a sign of deep distress. At its current rate of expansion, it will engulf the entire Confederation within 3 standard months. The entire galaxy, in a year. A heavy silence fell over the room, broken only by the steady beep of monitoring equipment. "Options?" Elena asked, her voice steady despite the weight of trillions of lives hanging on their next actions. Zixnath, the venerable High Counselor who had overseen humanity's integration into the Confederation, stepped forward. "We've assembled the finest minds from every member species, Admiral. If there's a solution to be found, they'll find it." Over the next weeks, as the anomaly continued its inexorable expansion, the combined scientific might of the Confederation worked tirelessly. Theories were proposed and discarded. Simulations ran constantly, each one ending in the same devastating conclusion: annihilation. It was during one such late-night session that an unlikely breakthrough occurred. Dr. Aisha Patel, the hero of Nexus 9, now a leading expert in quantum mechanics, was deep in discussion with Kex, a crystalline Tholian mathematician. "The problem," Aisha mused, rubbing her tired eyes, "is that we're trying to stop something that operates outside our understanding of physics. We can't fight it conventionally." Kex's facets shimmered in agreement. "Indeed, it's like trying to use a 2-dimensional solution for a 4-dimensional problem." Aisha's eyes widened. "Wait, say that again." "It's like trying to use a 2-dimensional solution for a 4-dimensional problem," Kex repeated, confusion evident in the changing patterns of its crystalline structure. Aisha leaped to her feet, startling nearby researchers. "That's it. We've been approaching this all wrong. We can't stop the anomaly, but what if we could move around it?" Her fingers flew over a holo keyboard, inputting equations at a dizzying pace. "Kex, your people's research into dimensional folding, could it be applied on a galactic scale?" The Tholian's entire being seemed to light up as understanding dawned. "Theoretically, yes, but the energy requirements would be astronomical." "Then we make it astronomical," a new voice chimed in. Commander Jack Harper, the hero of the Vorax War, had been silently observing. "We've got a whole galaxy of stars at our disposal, don't we?" Over the next days, a plan took shape, ambitious, insane, and their only hope. In the final briefing before the Confederation High Council, Elena laid out the strategy. "Ladies, gentlemen, and esteemed beings of all designations," she began, her voice carrying across the packed chamber. "What we propose is nothing short of relocating our entire galaxy, Murmurs of disbelief rippled through the assembly. Using a combination of Tholian dimensional folding technology, Zorlak quantum entanglement principles, and human-designed stellar energy collectors, we believe we can create a bubble around the Milky Way. This bubble will allow us to shift our entire galaxy slightly out of phase with normal spacetime, letting the anomaly pass harmlessly through. The chamber erupted in a cacophony of voices and translator static. Questions, objections, and exclamations of awe flew from every corner. Elena raised her hand for silence. I know it sounds impossible, but look around you. In this room, we have beings from worlds that once thought themselves alone in the universe. We have former enemies now standing as allies. We have overcome war, disaster, and our own fears of the unknown. The beings in this room represent the pinnacle of what is possible when we work together. She paused, her gaze sweeping the chamber. This plan requires the cooperation of every world, every species. It will push the boundaries of our scientific understanding and test the limits of our unity. But I ask you, if not this, then what? Will we sit idly by as our homes, our history, everything we've built together, is swallowed by the void? Silence fell, heavy with the weight of the decision before them. It was Zixnath who spoke first, its eye stalks raised high in a gesture of determination. Humanity has shown us, time and again, that the impossible is merely a challenge yet to be overcome. I, for one, say we meet this challenge head-on. One by one, representatives from across the galaxy voiced their agreement. The vote, when it came, was unanimous. Project Galactic Arc, as it came to be known, was the single largest undertaking in the history of the Milky Way. Every star became a power source, every inhabited world a relay station in a galaxy-spanning network. Humans worked alongside aliens of all forms. The adaptability that had once made them feared now made them invaluable, bridging gaps between wildly different species and ways of thinking. Dr. Aisha Patel found herself leading a team of the most brilliant minds in the galaxy, their differences forgotten in the face of their monumental task. Commander Harper coordinated the largest logistical operation ever conceived, ensuring that no world was left behind. As the anomaly grew ever closer, encompassing entire star clusters in its insatiable maw, the inhabitants of the Milky Way worked with a unity of purpose never before seen. On the day of activation, every being in the galaxy held their breath, or equivalent. In command centers, in homes, in ships and stations, trillions watched and waited. Elena stood in the Lunar Command Center, her hand poised over the final activation switch. Around her, representatives from every Confederation species gathered, a living testament to the diversity and unity of life. To all inhabitants of the Milky Way, her voice rang out across the galactic communications network. For countless eons, our galaxy has drifted through the cosmos, each world, each species isolated and alone. Today, we move not as separate planets or civilizations, but as one united galaxy. Whatever the outcome, know that we face it together. With a deep breath, Elena pressed the switch. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, gradually, a shimmer began to spread across the stars. It was as if a cosmic veil had been drawn across the galaxy. On the main viewer, they watched as the encroaching void of the anomaly approached, and then passed through them, as if they weren't there. Cheers erupted across 1,000,000 worlds. Beings of all shapes and sizes embraced, their differences forgotten in the joy of survival. As the anomaly receded into the distance, leaving their galaxy untouched, Elena felt a presence beside her. It was Zixnath, its eye stalks quivering with emotion. "You know," the alien said softly, "when we first encountered your species, many of us feared that your Deathworld origins would make you a threat to the galaxy." Elena smiled. And now? Zixnath's appendages rippled in what Elena had learned was the Zorlak equivalent of a chuckle. Now we understand. It was precisely those traits, forged in adversity, tempered by challenges, that made you the allies we needed. You taught us that true strength lies not in avoiding hardship, but in facing it head-on, together. As they looked out at the shimmering barrier that now encased their galaxy, a barrier built by the combined efforts of 1,000,000 worlds, Alina felt a profound sense of hope. The Milky Way had faced its greatest challenge not through force or fear, but through unity and ingenuity. Humanity, the Deathworlders who had once been feared, had played a crucial role in bringing together the diverse species of the galaxy.